How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Remember that humans are not rational beings while interacting with them. We are dealing with emotional beings that are driven by ego, vanity and prejudice. It teaches you the principles to better understand people, become a more likable person, improve relationships, win others over, and influence behavior through leadership. Part 1. Fundamental Techniques in Handling People. Principle 1. Don't criticize, condemn or complain. Criticism is futile and dangerous. Most people don't criticize themselves for anything, no matter how wrong it may be. It puts a person on the defensive and usually makes him strive to justify himself. And it wounds a person's precious pride, hurts his sense of importance, and arouses resentment. People learn faster and retain knowledge more effectively when rewarded for good behavior than punished for bad behavior. Principle 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Health, food, sleep, money, sex. Almost all these wants are usually gratified, all except one, the desire to be important. How do you make people feel important? By appreciation and encouragement. People will cherish and treasure your words if you are generous in your approbation and praise. Even if you have forgotten what you said, they will repeat it years later. Principle 3. Arouse in the other person an eager want. The only way to influence other people is to talk about what they want and show them how to get it. Part 2. 6 Ways to Make People Like You. Principle 1. Become genuinely interested in other people. If you only try to impress people and get them interested in you, you won't have many true friends. If you want to make friends, put yourself out to do things for other people, things that require time, energy, unselfishness, and thoughtfulness. We are interested in others when they are interested in us. A show of interest, as with every other principle of human relations, must be sincere. Principle 2. Smile. For someone who has seen a dozen people frown, your smile is like the sun breaking through the clouds. Principle 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest, and most important sound in any language. The average person is more interested in his or her own name than in all the other names on earth put together. Remember that name and call it easily, and you have paid a subtle and very effective compliment. From the waitress to the senior executive, the name will work magic as you deal with others. Principle 4. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. To be a good conversationalist, be an attentive listener. Ask questions that the other person will enjoy answering. About themselves and their accomplishments. Remember, people are 100 times more interested in themselves and their wants and problems than they are in you and your problems. Principle 5. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. People like to talk about themselves. Principle 6. Make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. There is one all-important law of human conduct: always make the other person feel important. A sure way to their hearts is to let them realize in some subtle way that you recognize their importance sincerely. Talk to people about themselves and they will listen for hours. Part 3. How to win people to your way of thinking. Principle 1. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. If you lose it, you lose it, and if you win it, you lose it. When you win an argument, you make the other person feel inferior. You hurt his pride and he will resent your triumph. If you argue and contradict, you may achieve a victory sometimes, but it will be an empty victory because you will never get your opponent's goodwill. Ben Franklin. Listen first. Look for areas of agreement. Postpone action to give both sides time to think through the problem. Principle 2. Show respect for the other person's opinions. Tell people they are wrong and you have struck a direct blow at their intelligence, pride, and self-respect. You won't make them want to change their minds and they will never want to agree with you. You cannot teach a man anything, you can only help him to find it within himself. Don't argue with your customer or your spouse or your adversary. Use a little diplomacy. Principle 3, if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. When you are right, try to win people gently and tactfully to our way of thinking. Principle 4, begin in a friendly way. To win someone to your cause, first convince him that you are his sincere friend. Friendly approach and appreciation can make people change their minds more readily than all the bluster and storming in the world. Principle 5, get the other person saying yes, yes immediately. The skillful speaker gets, at the outset, a number of yes responses. Principle 6, let the other person do a great deal of the talking. When you disagree with them, don't interrupt. Let the other people talk themselves out. Listen patiently, and with an open mind. Principle 7, let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. People have more faith in ideas that they discover for themselves than in ones handed to them. No one likes to feel that he or she is being sold something or told to do a thing. We much prefer to feel that we are buying our own accord or acting on our own ideas. Principle 8, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. There is a reason why the other man thinks and acts as he does. Find that reason and you have the key to his actions, perhaps to his personality. Cooperativeness in conversation is achieved when you show that you consider the other person's ideas and feelings as important as your own. Always ask yourself, why should he want to do it? This will take time, but it will avoid making enemies and will get better results. Principle 9, be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Most people you meet want sympathy. Give it to them, and they will love you. Principle 10, appeal to the nobler motives. But all of us, being idealists at heart, like to think of motives that sound good. Principle 11, dramatize your ideas. The truth has to be made vivid, interesting, dramatic. Principle 12, throw down a challenge. If the work was exciting and interesting, the worker looks forward to doing it and is motivated to do a good job. Part 4, be a leader, how to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Principle 1, begin with praise and honest appreciation. It is always easier to listen to unpleasant things after we have heard some praise of our good points. Principle 2, call attention to people's mistakes indirectly. Principle 3, talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Admitting one's own mistakes, even when one hasn't corrected them, can help convince somebody to change his behavior. Principle 4, ask questions instead of giving direct orders. People are more likely to accept an order if they have had a part in the decision that caused the order to be issued. Principle 5, let the other person save face. Whereas a few minutes thought, a considerate word or two, a genuine understanding of the other person's attitude, would go so far toward alleviating the sting. Principle 6, praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Abilities wither under criticism, they blossom under encouragement. Principle 7, give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Principle 8, use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Principle 9, make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Always make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Be sincere. Do not promise anything that you cannot deliver. Forget about the benefits to yourself and concentrate on the benefits to the other person. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Dale Carnegie. Thank you for watching.